A kind of a development game, and it was a strong side you put out there.
Yeah, it was. We had full complement really, and I missed the first 15 minutes because we had a training session here with the boys who played on Saturday. Managed to get down, and I probably can't remember ever seeing a friendly game played in such a competitive way. I think it was great preparation for the lads who played, and obviously now we've got 5 games in 2 weeks, and I'm sure we'll need everybody over this period. So it was in preparation for this period as much as anything, but great game, and one we won, and there was a real desire there, and there was a pattern in what play. Tried 1 or 2 things, so it was a really good day's work.
Looking at that team, you've got such a strong squad, haven't you? I mean, McManaman was playing in it, Galloway was playing in it, Berry, you're looking at it thinking they could be first team players easily.
Yeah, every one of them. Just pity I couldn't pick 22 players. But my job is not like that. But it's still ultimately a lot of them are building back up to their best, and that's why unless they play games, they won't get to their best. And then it's your attitude towards them games, because it's a friendly at the end of the day. If you turn up in sunshine at Brentford and you say, oh well, I'll just get through this, you're not going to get anything out of it. So they have to take. That was what was really impressive to me, was how desperate we were to play. And Brentford the same. I think everybody loves seeing competitive football, and we ended up winning the game, which was the icing on the cake.
McManaman, is he near enough for 100%?
He's getting there. Yeah, getting there. Really pleased with him. The individual work that we've been doing with him has improved him physically. We've got maybe a little bit to go that probably first team football would bring. So, but he's made progress, and that's pleasing.
And Galloway, because he came on and did well when he came on against QPR, again a bit more game time because he's been out for a while too.
Yeah, he felt his patella tendon. He came off 5 minutes before half time, so we're assessing him, see how he is. I was pleased with him at QPR. He made a real impact on the game, so we'll have to see where he is tomorrow.
So he could be a doubt then, unfortunately.
I hope not, but it's just we'll have to see where he is tomorrow, Jeff, really.
The QPR game, it was interesting tactically. Your central midfield this season has almost been like a triangle, and you've had 2 at the base and 1 at the tip. It was almost twisted round on Saturday. With any reason for that little tweak?
Which half was that?
The first half.
The first half. No, I mean obviously Queen's Park Rangers play with 2 strikers, so I wanted Ryan Tunnicliffe in touch and distance, doing 2 jobs if he possibly could. The modern centre half, modern back 4. Well, the modern centre halves are not dealing with 2 centre forwards anymore. They're not, and I wanted to make sure that we were in a 3v2 situation. And sometimes we were, and sometimes we weren't. Obviously, you've got wing backs to deal with, so you can't get your cover from full backs. You have to get your cover elsewhere. Remember, it was the first time Ryan Tunnicliffe played in that position.
He normally plays at the tip, doesn't he?
Well, but Martin Craney was injured, who, amongst other things, was signed specifically for that kind of role, because I know the league and I know what games you need to use that kind of player in, so we had to adapt. The first 30 minutes was many different things. It wasn't just that, which I've been through with the players. And the last 60 minutes was many different things. That was the flip side, which was positive. So I can assure you, sitting here, we have learned, and we've also took the positives of the last 60 minutes and how close the game was at the end, because I think Crystal Palace were 3-0 down after 23 minutes on Saturday. They got beat 4-0. We were the same and got beat 3-2. So there's positives to be taken as well.
Izzy Brown has taken, well, it seems to me, most of the criticism, but that's probably a bit unfair because Shinnie was alongside him and everyone else is on the pitch too.
It's not about any individual. It's a collective thing, me included. In that, I said that after the game. I don't want to go into detail because we've got a game on Saturday to be competitive in, but we all know what happened now. It's clear. Everybody wants answers in the group in order to move forward. And this was a one-off game, and there's not many teams who'll play the way QPR play. His method is based on numbers. If he's playing 4-2-3-1, he'll leave 4 behind the ball when they're building and attack you with 6. If he's playing 5-3-2, he will leave 4 behind the ball and attack you with a different 6. And that method of work is really effective. That's why I've said after the game, I think Queen's Park Rangers will be up there, because they've got quality players within that: Leisner, Chair, Eze, Hugo, Naki Wells. So I was very, very impressed with them. And sometimes you have to take your hat off and you have to say that, you have to respect the opposition and say well done, but the first place you look is at your own door, and we have, and I think we've got some clarity.
I suppose we kind of knew it was going to be a difficult season, but if you're going to be, say, a bit more attacking than defensive, I think most people would go along with that, wouldn't they?
I don't know, and I still don't know, Jeff, if it's going to be a difficult season, is the truth. I think that we've got some real qualities. I think we've got some outstanding qualities to win football matches. Everybody's saying, the league's starting to show itself now, positions. Nobody knows that. I'm sorry to be boring, but it's just on to the next game and try and get 3 points. But with lessons learned, if you don't take lessons forward from what happened, and we don't understand that not to do certain things again, then you're never going to learn. You're just going to go from one game to the next. So I think it was educational, and we'll definitely take certain lessons forward in the next game, which is important.
Hull next up, and they're in a bit of an indifferent run of form. Well, how do you assess them? Dangerous,
especially the wide players, Grzycki and Bowen. But they can play in different ways and change their style, and they're an experienced Championship club, maybe 2 years post Premier League. This is the challenge every week now. I mean, nobody talks about, if we go back to the QPR game, nobody talks about our first international break to deal with. Now, sometimes it's not physical, sometimes it's mental. You go from knowing the league, finding out what's required, and competing really well and winning 3 games, and then mentally you maybe come off it and you get a shock when it restarts again. QPR didn't, they were ready. So that's a lesson for the next international break. It's all new, it's all a learning curve, and we're doing okay.
I suppose, is it too easy to say that the home form is going to be absolutely key?
Far too early. We've won at Barnsley and we've won at home to Huddersfield, so the home form it's important for every football club. Kenilworth Road is an advantage, no question about that. So, but honestly, Jeff, it's just one game at a time.
Cool. Thank you.
Both Martin Crane and Danny Hilton have had a week, a couple of weeks I think now to train. How are they looking there a couple of weeks at the moment?
Good, Mike. Martin's pain-free, which is a great position to be in. He was out on the pitch today and working really, really hard. So he's getting closer. Danny's not out on the pitch yet, so he's some weeks away. But I'm really pleased where Martin is.
And happy to be with Harry Cornick as well, because I think he started now 5 in a row, something that maybe hasn't happened here before, and he's got 3 goals in that time. So just how impressed have you been with how he's done so far this season?
Really impressed. Harry's not a squad player, he's not a substitute. Harry's a guy that has been what's the word I'm looking for? A really effective player for us, really effective. And I think Harry's starting to realise his role's changed and he's taking responsibility for that, and he's improving and he's getting stronger, but he still had to come off on 80 minutes because his body's not used to that kind of physicality, and he gets stronger and stronger every week. But Harry's a bright boy as well. He understands his role, and at the minute he's playing in a team and a style of play that allows him to be effective, but he's taken that as well, so I'm really pleased with him.
Is that something you spotted early on with him? Because last year he didn't really start towards the end of the season when you probably saw some of the games, so did you see in pre-season something that you liked about him as a player?
I did, yeah. I mean, he's a bright boy as well. He's intellectually, he's intelligent, he gets it, so if you give him any kind of tactics he takes them on board. Obviously he's got physical aspect that can hurt anybody with the pace he's got, but he's better technically than anybody gives him credit for. I think his appreciation's improved, and his mentality's getting better with every game, because I think when you're a regular starter, you have to take responsibility for your performances and results, and he's starting to understand that, and he's contributed hugely since the opening game against Middlesbrough.
He's formed quite a good partnership with James Combs, isn't he? I mean, he set him up on the weekend, and then they do dangerous, don't they?
They do, and there was a chance a minute before, carbon copy, where Kaz crosses the ball and Harry's just got to pull it back, and there's lots of little things, Mike, that happens in football matches that either go for you or they cost you, and I'm pleased with James, really pleased with Harry, and I like that combination. I think we've been strong with Kaz on the side as well since Sheffield Wednesday, when the three of them play together for the first time. I started the game for the first time, but we've got tons of work to do and lots of improvement to make, so we'll just keep going.
And with the friendly played in the week, are you hoping to organise more games like that so your squad can actually get those kind of not competitive matches but meaningful matches in their preparation too?
I think we have to. It's just, I spoke to Callum McManaman today, nothing prepares you for the big pitch. You can small-sided games, you can play in-house training games, but it's savage when there's a point me against you, and it's our livelihood on display, and you've got to find a way of competing, you've got to find a way of winning, you've got to find a way of being better, and you have to get comfortable being uncomfortable, because that's what a full-size pitch does. You've got to find a way of enjoying it, you've got to find a way of being effective. There's only a 90-minute football match that does that for you, so but again, you go back to the players' attitude. That game's a waste of time if the players' attitude isn't what it was on Tuesday. The attitude was first class. We didn't carry a player. And Callum McManaman scored, by the way, not Luke Berry. I don't know where that came from. It was a really good finish. So yeah, hopefully, if we can, the right type of friendly, we'll keep that going, depending on the needs of the players.
I'm guessing Harwell was under Grant McCann. We haven't come up against him much because he's been in the lower leagues as managing so far in his career. Yeah,
I've not came up against Grant at all. Obviously, Donny's one of my old clubs, so I've followed their progress, and they were a challenge tactically. I watched the playoff game last season, and they were really competitive with some good players. I've watched them in detail. Watched the last game against Wigan. Watched them against Forest. And they are capable of hurting you, like every single championship club, us included. And hopefully on Saturday they won't, and we will, and we'll win the game. But Grant knows Luton. He's been here with Doncaster, so he's got a bit of experience of what's to come. So we'll have to wait and see.
And they've got a couple of Everton loanies, I think. I mean, do you know them from your time when you were at the club?
Who?
I did look at his name, but I've completely forgotten. Is it Pennington or?
Yeah, I know. Matty was sub. Matty Pennington was sub. He's a right-sided centre back. Really intelligent boy. Really competitive. Good in the air. He was at Ipswich last season on loan till maybe January. Forced him back to Everton. He's a good boy, Matty. I look forward to seeing him on Saturday.
Harry, last season he said that he recognised that he wasn't as good at finishing as he'd like to, and so he was doing drills, and he said that again on Saturday, and said you'd been working with him. Obviously you used to be a striker.
I'm taking full credit.
He scored up to 3 goals in 5 games now, so
yeah.
Those sort of stats would suggest that he's sort of improving there, but
yeah.
What sort of thing can that be improved if say he's not like the natural goal scorer? He's playing up front. Can being in front of goal, can you improve things?
Well, I'm from a school of I think you can improve everybody, whether that's temporary or permanent. They'll decide by the amount of homework they keep working at. In order for when it's unnatural, that needs to be repetitive work. We've done some work with Harry on correct technical selection, sometimes in front of goal. Sometimes you see strikers, if it comes on your left foot, they'll try and use it outside of the right foot. It has to be the right technical selection at the right time. But I think it's quite simple as well. I've made sure that they get punished if they don't hit the target, and worst case, you've got to hit the target as a striker to give yourself a chance. It's a simple theory, and I think he's benefited from that.
And Callum McManaman making his comeback seems good. He gave an interview to the Independent where he said, for the sort of last 5 or 6 seasons, hasn't really enjoyed football. I would imagine that coming to Luton with you as someone who's worked with before is part of the attempt to sort of rectify that. Have you sort of noticed that side of Callum's game has benefited from being here?
No, I didn't see the article. James is the truth. I think you only enjoy football when you're doing well and you're winning. And Callum hasn't been the team to do that enough yet. But I do see a spark in him again that I haven't seen for a while. I think he knows that he's got somebody that's concerned about his welfare and his ability to max out, and he knows that it's very individual, the work, and he knows he's got somebody that understands him, somebody he can talk to. So I think he probably feels understood for the first time, and he's still a work in progress, Callum. Nobody knows Callum like me. We need to pray he stays fit as we keep pushing him on the training ground, both physically and mentally and tactically. And if he does, and he gets a period of playing games, 1v1s is nobody better. And Callum's got nothing to prove to anybody. Callum's won an FA Cup. He was man of the match in the cup final playing against Gael Clichy. He's been a Premier League player. He's gone for big money. He's had big pressures to deal with through his career. And the only person Callum McManaman needs to please is himself. And I think we're getting close to that.
Because before he got injured, there was a great little partnership developing between him and James Collins as well. So that would be a great benefit, I suppose, when he gets back into the side and firing.
Yeah, we've got good choice in that position, but I want to see Cal at his best to push the other three, and George if he plays there, and Elliot if he's through the middle. We've got different styles and we've got good choices in them positions. So it's not just Callum as well; it's everybody else. We've got to try and get them to max out, and that's where we're at the minute.
Just lastly as well, before the international break, you said there's a psychological barrier that had been broken, and there's these important milestones that have been happening at all the games leading up to that point. Is keeping a clean sheet or trying to aim for that in the league, is that sort of the next big one?
Well, Darren Moore is a clean sheet expert as a player and as a coach. We got our first clean sheet in October last year at an ex-Premier League club. So I don't know the stats, but it's not easy to keep a clean sheet in the Championship. I said we want to keep a clean sheet at every single game, but the most important thing is winning the game. If a clean sheet is a result of that, then great. If it's not and we win, I'll work at it the following week and try and work towards keeping a clean sheet, but I'd rather win a game of football, and that's where always the priority is.